to do here. I really don't. It's not connecting. Okay, let's see. Where is it? So, what is going on with this? All right. Okay, so let's see. So it is working. Oh, perfect. All right, everybody. Welcome to Speak with Power and Get a Job. How not to use your resume. It's not about your resume. My name is Leo Novsky. I'm an executive communication coach. And one of the things that often helps me or often makes me cringe is when I receive a lot of requests for resume revisions. Now, there's absolutely every reason to do a revision. However, um, one of the things that is critical is not to depend on your resume as your ticket to enter. So today, I wanted to share with you just a little bit about my strategy of how I work with individuals and help them speak with power and engage their audience and build um, connection through the power of story. And also to introduce a concept that I call calling in artillery, a really effective way that I found to connect to people on your network and more importantly on other people's networks in order to help you get further and improve your success rate. So, first things first. One thing that I want to make sure, first things first, is that I am actually heard. So, that is something that I need to figure out. Let me see here. In order to help you get further at. All right. So let's talk very simply about what does it take to speak with power. Now, the way I like to think about it is to speak with power, you need to tell a authentic story that engages with a very clear purpose, that engages the hearts and minds of a very specific audience in order to activates people thirst for knowledge. So story, purpose, engagement, audience, knowledge, or speak for short. And the reason why I feel that this is important acronym and something that's really useful for those of you who are trying to figure out what is my story, how do I tell it, is that it brings the focus not on the data, on the knowledge, trying to share knowledge, but on a story that gets people excited or curious about you. It's the difference between sharing information and making people hungry for it, right? So the point here is to get people interested in you. Now, why would anyone be interested in you? Why would you be interested in anyone else? The truth of the matter is that, especially in hiring situations, but in general, the idea here is you must connect with something that they need, they want. What is kind of like their personal interest. Otherwise, it will be blocked out. It's just data. So when you have people sharing all this data about their background and history and whatnot, that does not help because most of it just goes from one ear to the other. You've been on the receiving end of it, so you understand that that in fact is indeed what happens. So instead, what I'm asking you to do is to step back and to think about the story that you want to share with a very specific audience. And the audience, if you're trying to find a job, is a hiring manager, or the audience is a potential coworker, or the audience is someone who will connect you to a potential employer. And most importantly, an audience is a potential champion or a mentor, someone who can actually guide you or who can defend you behind closed doors. So when you start thinking about what stories to tell, start thinking about the audience that you want to get the thirst for knowledge across, right? And then build a whole portfolio of stories that engages their hearts and their minds. Now, what do I mean by hearts and minds? Most stories that people share are actually not stories, and you know this. They're either summaries or detailed explanations, and none of those work. So we'll get into the anatomy of a story in a second. But what I really wanted you to think about is to reflect on when people ask you questions for the interview, such as, so tell me more about yourself, or how did you deal with a particular challenging situation, and what did you do about it? What they're asking for is not data. They're asking for a situational engagement where they can project their own story and say, oh, wow, he'll be able or she will be able to take care of that for me, right? And these stories have to be very, very concise, very specific so that you don't bore your audience and at the same time entertain and inform them and invite them to ask more questions. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to think about your own career and think about a story that really engages and excites you. Something that you're proud of, right? So, for example, for me, one of the powerful stories I like to tell is when I was helping one of my clients find her story. Now, the challenge was that she was not even interested in doing this in the first place. At first, she was very reticent because she thought that this is not important. But what I found out is that her ability to share her story of success with others really helped her change the mindset for herself. So